When I first started playing Devious Dungeon, I thought it was going to become my new favourite game. An action platformer with roguelike elements and solid gameplay and controls, what's not to love? I was also pleased when the character progression wasn't so in-depth, because that is one thing I cannot stand. Staring at the level up screen for 20 minutes deciding which of the gazillion attributes is best to spend your points on. The levels are designed well and there's a good variety of enemies to fight. So why isn't it my new favourite game? And why is it that actually, what started as a fun and exciting experience turned into a bit of a disappointment by the end? Well, let's start at the beginning. Upon starting the game, you're greeted with a very basic, generic story, which is fine. I don't need a story in a game like this. It does the job of introducing the hero and the problem he is facing. So, onto the tutorial. It's a basic thing. Learn to jump, attack, how to progress, and what? Don't tell me there's secret areas to look out for. They're supposed to be secret? And now the fun begins. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording the first time I played, so you won't see exactly what happened, but basically I died to the very first enemy I came across. Oh ho ho, was I in for a mighty challenge. Not really. I then went on to complete 18 levels in a row without dying, including the first boss fight. The game is pretty easy. That's not to say I didn't die later on. I died quite a bit, but I can say that I didn't die 25 times during my entire playthrough, as there's an achievement for doing so which I didn't unlock until after I beat the game. There is a hard mode that I didn't see at first, but would never have selected when I started the game anyway, although it appears to be exactly the same game, just with more enemies with higher HP. The game has 65 levels, divided up into 5 chapters. The levels are random. I don't know if their layouts are randomly generated, or just selected at random from a pool, but I did see the same layout a few times, but never got the feeling I was playing the same level more than once. As you progress, you face new and tougher enemies, but the only time I ever felt in danger was if there were 3 or more enemies in close proximity, which only happened 4 or 5 times during my playthrough. Otherwise, it's easy enough to attack, jump back, and then attack some more, or in the case of enemies with projectiles, wait until they stop shooting. The enemies give you a little XP, as well as coins which can be spent at the caravan in the castle, or after every 3rd level you complete. XP can also be gained by collecting the tomes that can be found in those secret areas you definitely didn't know existed, and you can also find treasure chests in those areas too. After each level up, you're greeted with my favourite kind of level up screen. Only 3 options, and each one explains exactly what it does. Perfect. The game keeps it simple with only 3 stats: strength, stamina, and dexterity. Strength determines how hard you hit, stamina is how much health you have, and dexterity increases your critical hit percentage. As I already said, I hate games that make leveling up a nightmare and tend to avoid them completely, so this is something I love about Devious Dungeon. The equipment you can buy keeps it just as simple, although this is more of a negative thing in my opinion. You have a variety of weapons, armour, potions, rings and amulets to buy with the money you gain from enemies, treasure chests, or just breaking everything you see. Each new item unlocks once you've bought the previous one, and each item is better than the last. While it makes sense for something like armour to get better and better with each upgrade, I wish there was more choices to be made when it comes to weapons, rings and amulets. Instead of them just following this linear progression, I'd like to have to make a decision over which stat I needed to increase more and choose my equipment accordingly. The closest I came to something like this was early on, after I unlocked the first new weapon, a club that did more damage but was 1 point slower than the sword I had been using. I chose to stick to the sword, but after that each new weapon was an obvious upgrade over the old one, so it was no longer something I had to think about. But now let's talk about the biggest disappointment: the boss battles. I love boss battles in 2D platforming games, they're always the best bit. Sadly, they're the worst part of Devious Dungeon. The biggest problem is they're just too easy. Each boss I faced had no more than 3 different attacks, and only took 2 or 3 tries to beat them. The disappointment kept compounding as I would near the end of each chapter, hoping that the next boss would be a good one, but it never was. I can't say I didn't enjoy the 4 hours it took to beat this game. I had fun. I had a lot of fun actually, but I also feel like I would not recommend this game to anyone. What starts as brilliant simplicity quickly becomes underwhelming. The gameplay, though smooth and fun, is certainly not challenging, and the bosses are a huge letdown. The release date and price are yet to be finalised for the Steam version I was playing, but the game is £7.99 on the Nintendo Switch store, and that's £3 too much in my opinion.